Waiting periods are another issue that I know a lot of people know about, but are becoming, I think, a bit more discussed and more utilized in departments. Why do you think it is that more departments are instituting them that didn't have them before?
It seems that everybody agrees that a minimum of one sleep cycle you should wait before you interview someone. They say that the recall is much sharper, much clearer. Before that officer leaves the scene, they still are required to make what we call a public safety statement. But what's really important is that the supervisor talk to the subject officer and get all the information that's necessary right at the scene.
To some people, the waiting period policies are controversial. Why do you think there is a controversy here?
I just don't think people really understand it. I don't think that they've looked at the research that's out there. And the body of research says that there's an enormous benefit to having the person wait for at least one sleep cycle, at least 24 hours and maybe up to 72 hours. And their recall is much clearer and much better.
So in your view, the science here is settled?
It's still evolving, but it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear at a minimum 24 hours.
These are just a small sampling of experts that have said they have reviewed the policy and the science behind it and say it's bad. What do you say to that?
Well, anytime you have an issue of science, you're going to have people on both sides of this, and you're going to have a discussion. There's going to be a debate about it. Everything that I've read says that your memory recall is much sharper and much clearer if you have a waiting period.
In your shooting guidelines that were ratified in 2013, it reads, if officers have an immediate need to talk about the incident, they should be encouraged to do so solely with individuals with whom they have privileged communication. In other words, even if a cop wants to tell their story to an investigator, even if they think they're fine, they're told they shouldn't. What sense does that make?
Just because you're a police officer doesn't mean that you don't have your Fifth Amendment right to counsel. There's going to be an incredible investigatory process when you're involved in a use of force, and particularly use of force up to and including deadly force. So this process is, the officer a lot of times is, it can be more traumatic and damaging to the officer, the process alone, the legal process, the administrative process, and the potential consequences. So it's first for the officer to say, well, no, I just want to sit here and talk about it. But before they do, I mean, I would encourage the officer to speak to counsel.